Great. Thanks for the clarification. Good afternoon, Chair Padilla, Commissioners. Jennifer Savage, Surfrider Foundation. Next slide, please. When this permit came before you last August, we were dismayed that such a significant project failed to include sea level rise adaptation planning. Your comments at the time made it clear that you agreed. Commissioner Bochco accurately referred to the project area as ground zero for sea level rise. Commissioner Hart called it strange that sea level rise planning would not begin until after the roadway flooded 4 times. Commissioner Escalante said she's never driven on a freeway that is so at risk. And Commissioner Padilla described Caltrans's plan as wholly insufficient. Next slide, please. And you were right to be concerned. Next slide, please. If you could play the movie. Here's some footage from last month's King Tides at the project site. So there's some stills here. There's a human for comparison. That's the project site right there where the cutoff is. So you can see the railroad tracks, and the highway is just on the other side of those railroad tracks. There's Indianola right there, so you could get a good shot of the cutoff and the billboard, of course. Next slide, please. So at the time, you also said you felt obligated to vote yes on the project despite its shortcomings. We know that responding to sea level rise is a huge challenge for both public agencies and local governments. None of this is easy, but sea level rise has been identified as one of the biggest threats to the state, even with COVID, even with wildfires. Hard as planning for sea level rise is now, dealing with it is not going to get any easier. You all clearly believe in the high standards the Coastal Act enshrines. You should not have to bear the burden of trying to salvage a project from the dais or doing the applicant's work for them, or otherwise so often be trapped between a rock and a hard place. This project could have been a great example of how to do things. Instead, it's just one more in a long list of projects described as wholly inadequate. Hopefully the efforts described by Director Ainsworth in his report and the legislation that's pending will be useful, but in any case, the time to save our coast is short and the public deserves real planning now and into the future, because it's the public that bears the consequences, the public that loses every time meaningful adaptation planning is delayed or deemed too difficult. We cannot look back and say we lost our beaches and coastal wetlands because saving them was too hard. Thank you.